Hello, and thank you for tuning in to today's video. As you can see by the title, this is a flip through of a journal that I made as a Christmas gift for my cousin who is a D&D player. It's interesting, like my family are about to start a huge multinational between Canadians and Americans, a big online Zoom game of Dungeons and Dragons. And I don't personally play, but I got so into learning about how the game works when I had this idea to make a character book that it's really quite fascinating. So anyhow, yeah, Auntie, if you're watching this video, don't tell him I want this book to be a Christmas surprise. Hopefully he doesn't think it's totally lame. But yeah, I made the cover using, you can see kind of the ridge right here. I didn't mean for that to be there, but that gives away what the cover is made out of. It's actually the cover from a pad of watercolor paper that I crinkled up a bunch of tissue paper and just glued it down using a diluted glue, like part glue, part water, and then just crinkled it with my fingers once it was down on the page to give it this really antique, like vegan version of old looking leather kind of stuff. And then I painted that green to represent dragons, and because it's my cousin's favorite color. And then I put washes of watered down black ink over top of that green, which you can see in a few places to give it that really old rustic feeling. And then using my finger, I took gold paint and just rubbed that into all the wrinkled areas to make it look magical and illuminated. So the cover, it's really, really easy to do. Like, I actually learned it from a YouTube tutorial video, which I keep telling myself I'll start doing tutorials. Let me know in the comments if you'd be interested in a tutorial. It's just really tough to get the camera angle right. Like, don't get me started on how bad I already know this camera angle is for a flip through. I'm sorry. My tripod just isn't, I bought the cheapest one they had on Amazon, so it doesn't do what it's really supposed to do. Anyhow, if you're interested in tutorials, let me know in the comments, and I may or may not act on the interest. But anyhow, you can find tutorials for this faux leather. Just Google tissue paper fake leather and it'll come up. So yeah, that's the cover. Then this thing, if you are a Dungeons and Dragons player, you'll already recognize that as the dice. I had the hardest time drawing this and making it look symmetrical. I think I did 3 or 4 practice runs with the dimensional fabric paint, and then I finally gave up. And then I had a brilliant solution pop into my head where I printed a picture of it on just regular printer paper. Then I put a transparency over top of that picture and traced over it on the transparency, waited for it to dry, peeled it off, and then just glued it down on the cover. So it's a fun cheater's way to get the perfect proportions if you're doing any kind of geometric design. I'm going to start doing that from now on for a lot of my covers, I think. Maybe I'll do a tutorial for that because it would be easy to demonstrate on film. Anyhow, all the corners have these medieval looking book corner protectors, and the closure is a piece of faux suede that I've sewn in and then wrapped around a few times and finished with this really awesome Tibetan mantra bead. So my feeling with this is that maybe the D&D character went on a really cool quest and took this bead as a souvenir. And really it just looks cool, doesn't it? So yeah, and it is faux. That's not real corals, so no sea life was injured in the making of this bead. So yeah, that just wraps around to come open. And then inside the book is where I think it gets really cool. I made a pocket on the front page using a printout of a medieval dragon like identifier design that I found online. All the dragons and all the art that I've used throughout the book is public domain. It's all really ancient medieval stuff from manuscripts. And then the pages in the book, I stenciled these myself using coffee dye on various types of paper. But then to make it so that it's still flat and can be written on, I scanned them and then printed them out. So like this mandala designed coffee dyed paper, you can actually find it in my Etsy shop. One of the things I sell is a printable set of coffee dyed paper. So yeah, this stenciled one is one of those pages. This is a coffee dyed envelope. I stuck another dragon printout to it, and this has a hidden pocket. So a secret little note with another dyed piece of paper that I printed a medieval carpet design onto. So yeah, he may or may not find that. Like that might just be our little secret between me and you, but depending on how much he gets into this book. And then the envelope opens so he can put something in there too. And then yeah, under this green band, okay, first let me just talk about how gorgeous is this fabric. I found this in like a cheap bundle of fabrics at my local thrift store, and I knew this was going to be the cover paper, or the overleaf, I forget what it's called, but I knew this was going to get glued down inside the D&D journal because it looks medieval, it looks pretty ancient, and it's not too girly. So for a journal for a guy, it's nice to have, you know, vintage fabrics, but not laces and flowers and frilly stuff. But yeah, underneath this band, I've printed him out a D&D campaign diary, and I'll put a link to the Etsy shop where I found this in the video description. I actually printed this in a couple stages. It was just like black ink on white when you print it out from the Etsy shop that makes them. But I wanted it to look kind of rustic and like it could be an ancient thing. So what I first did was printed out a bunch of my coffee dyed paper designs. So this is another one of my coffee dyed papers from the set I have in my shop. And then I printed the D&D campaign book onto that paper that had already been printed. So this old alchemy illustration, that's also a public domain image I found online. I cut that out and then inked the edges to make it look older, and turned that into a paper clip. So this is like a paper clip bookmark thing. I think it's really neat. You can find tutorials for how to make those. They're just called altered paper clips. So here we go. The first page, there's another altered paper clip with some potion bottles. So the first page, I paper clipped in a transparency sheet over it. So the stuff that will be permanent for his character, he can write that directly onto the book pages. But I watched a few flip-through videos of people who had made their own D&D campaign books, and what a lot of them were saying is that they only write in them in pencil because they have to erase and rewrite their stats. And then I came across a video by a brilliant D&D player who explained that she put transparency pages over top of all the pages where she writes in numbers and stats and stuff. So she'll take a dry erase pen and just update and check things off using that. And then when her character evolves or wins or loses or however it works in D&D, she can just erase that and start over again with the dry erase. So I felt like that gives it kind of some permanence. Like you don't need to You don't need to reprint the pages over and over again. You can just fill it in with dry erase marker and then erase it. And then these pages, it was described in those other videos I watched that they're a little bit more permanent. You don't need to kind of erase and rewrite all of them. There's a lot of space for notes. And like I said, if you buy this booklet, this printable booklet from that guy's Etsy shop, it will not have the background stains that my pages have here. These are, like I said, my coffee dyed paper from my shop. So that's it. There's his campaign diary is tucked into the front cover of the book. And then the rest of the journal is just a bunch of paper that can be written on, journaled on, little bookmarks. It all has kind of an ancient vibe to it, what I was going for. Not ancient, maybe medieval. And then some pages are actual coffee dyed paper, so this isn't a printout, this is an original. Grid paper, because I had read online that D&D, you can use a lot of grid papers for things like designing maps and designing characters. I'm not sure if he does that, but he'll have the paper there in case he wants to. Some transparencies in case he wants to trace anything. A cool green carpet printout. The center of the book is this astrology design. This is a printable that I bought in another Etsy shop. And then just reprints. And if you're one of my regular viewers, you know most of the junk journals I make are filled with pockets and pictures and sari fabrics, sari trims, beads, jewelry, dangly stuff. I kept this one pretty plain because I'm thinking it can actually be used more easily this way. And I especially wanted to keep it masculine looking. So this pocket page is made using a vintage print of a dragon with a ship on an old looking map. In that I put a journaling card that I made with another printout of a dragon. And then this little envelope I printed out from another Etsy shop. And then after kind of putting it together, I just took gold paint and roughed it up with the gold paint in a few places to give it kind of a grungy like antique vibe. As if this is like the kind of thing you find in a dusty old library when you're on your quest and you're looking for clues. And then it's all just coffee dyed images on the backs of these things. So he can write stuff there. And even the inside of the envelope, instead of gluing it all down, I left the envelope so it can unfold completely because even that can be written on. Okay. I'm a lot better at folding all of this up when I'm not trying to work around my tripod and my camera. There we go. And then I just glued a little fake golden jewel there to give it some texture and some dimension. So there's that page. And then on the back, inside of the back cover, I included a couple more printouts. I'm not sure whether his character is a wizard. I don't really know anything about the campaign he's on or what he's doing, so I printed out one of each. The pact magic as well as the spell casting. So if his character is a solitary magician or wizard, he's got this one. If he's in like a group of people who do magic stuff, he's got that one. If he doesn't do either, he can just give these away to friends of his because I think all of his friends play Dungeons and Dragons. But yeah, that's it. It's just I want to say it's a simple little project. For somebody like me who typically makes enormous books full of fabrics and full of tons and tons and tons of stuff, it was simple. I guess if you're new to bookmaking or junk journal making, this might be a little bit more complicated, but It was a lot of fun to make. If you'd like to commission me to make something like this, I would be more than happy to. I still have all the materials necessary, and now it'll be easy since I've done a prototype in this piece here. But yeah, or if you play D&D and you want to make one of your own, like I said, you can do it very, very easily. Just do a search for fake leather using tissue paper and glue. I guess the only materials you would need to buy specially would be the paint, the book corners, a bead that's has a hole big enough that you can string it on faux suede like this. Faux suede, obviously the bookbinding materials. Okay, there's a lot of stuff you'd kind of have to buy if you don't have it already. But if you're into bookmaking, you've probably already got quite a few of those materials. Anyhow, I hope you enjoyed this little crafty gift idea book flip through, and good luck on your quest if you're a player, and if not, just all the best in the quest of life. Thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next video. Bye.